Are you looking for a way to boost your students' reading comprehension? Always! Focusing on teaching vocabulary is a simple and effective way to boost your students' reading comprehension. It's true! Hey everyone, I'm Emily with the Stellar Teacher Team. Welcome back to our YouTube channel and thanks for joining us. If you teach literacy, then this video is for you. I'm going to be jumping into the differences of implicit vocabulary instruction and explicit vocabulary instruction. I'll give you tips for both methods and we'll chat a little bit about when to use one method over the other. Okay, so vocabulary is a major piece to the comprehension puzzle. The reason is simple. Whether you're reading or you're listening, knowing the meaning of the words is essential for understanding. Think about it. If a reader doesn't understand the words that they're listening to or reading, how can they grasp what the text is about? That's why preparing for and delivering vocabulary instruction is vital. It helps readers access more texts, builds their background knowledge, and improves their overall reading and writing skills. I know we all want that for our students. Okay, so let's talk about the two approaches to vocabulary instruction, implicit and explicit. Let's start with implicit vocabulary instruction. Think of this as unplanned vocab instruction. You're reading your favorite read aloud and you come across a voracious vocabulary. So you pause and you take the opportunity to model figuring out the meaning of the unknown word. Maybe you and your students have a conversation around the meaning, and that is implicit vocabulary instruction. Here are my 3 quick tips for teaching vocabulary implicitly. First and foremost, so important, we want to make sure that we are using a high quality mentor text. You already know this. We want to make sure that our students are exposed to words that will ultimately build their vocabularies and their overall comprehension. Okay, that's tip 1. Tip 2 and 3 kind of go together, and they both have to do with modeling how to determine the meaning of unknown words. So in order to make the most out of implicit vocabulary instruction, we want to use this time to teach our students to use clues to figure out the meanings. Okay, 2 ways to do this, so that brings me to tip 2. Model using morphological clues by teaching students to look inside the words, and this includes pointing out prefixes, suffixes, roots, and base words. So that's tip 2. Teach students to look inside the word. Okay, tip 3, teach students to look outside the word or around the word to look for context clues. We know that authors often provide hints right there inside the text, like definitions, synonyms, and examples. So simply put, tips 2 and 3, we want to model looking inside the word for morphological clues and looking outside the word for context clues. Okay, those are my 3 big tips for implicit vocabulary instruction. 1, use high quality text. 2, model looking inside the word for meaning. And 3, model looking around the word for meaning. There are some awesome benefits of implicit vocabulary instruction. It mimics natural language acquisition. This is how readers learn new words. It also encourages our readers to be word watchers, and they're constantly looking for new words and clues for their meaning. When students are taught to be on the lookout for clues, they start to acquire more and more vocabulary as they read. We're not necessarily teaching them every single word, they're learning them as they read. And that is a total win-win. After all, we cannot teach our students all of the words, although we might try. Ultimately, research does back up this form of vocabulary instruction because it mimics that natural language acquisition. But there is a catch. Implicit vocabulary instruction depends on coincidence rather than chance. So we want to be sure that we are intentional with our vocabulary instruction, and that brings us to explicit vocabulary instruction. This is where we get intentional. Instead of relying on chance encounters, teachers directly teach specific words. This method is especially important when the words are tied to a text, a mentor text that our students are reading. Okay, so here's my advice for teaching explicitly. There are 5 things we want to do when we are teaching vocabulary words explicitly. Number 1, we need to make sure that we are giving our students a kid-friendly definition. No more sending kids to dictionaries to be even more confused. Meet students where they are with a definition that makes sense to them. Number 2, analyze word structure. This goes back to our looking for morphological clues that help build meaning for our students. If a vocabulary word is, let's say, prevent, for example, we want to point out that PRE means before. We are not only helping students build meaning around this particular word, prevent, but we're also helping give access to meanings of other words that have the same prefix, PRE. Number 3, clarify words in context. So this looks like many different things. We want to give our students images, photographs, drawings, or symbols, as well as sentences that use the word in context. We want to clarify when we use this word and what it means when we use it. Number 4, connect words to synonyms and or antonyms. This helps students and adults organize new words into the filing cabinet that is their brain and helps them build meaning around their new word. Number 5, and this is the most often forgotten step, give students an opportunity to engage and practice using the new word. This can be super quick and very effective. We want our students to practice hearing the word and using it so they get comfortable, and then we'll start to see it in their writing and in their oral language. We're going to be digging into these 5 steps of explicit vocabulary instruction in another video. So if this interests you, be on the lookout for that. Okay, I want to show you inside the Stellar Literacy Collective, we have designed our vocabulary with these 5 elements in mind, and this is what vocabulary instruction looks like inside our whole group lessons. Within our whole group lesson sets, we have pre-selected a word from our texts for you to explicitly teach to your students. We have done the work for you by selecting words and including the 5 steps of explicit vocabulary instruction. We have thought this out for you, we have scripted this out for you, and we have created slides for you to show your students, and it makes it so super easy to implement the explicit vocabulary instruction. If you'd rather create these vocab slides on your own, be sure that you choose words that can be most beneficial for your students to learn. These are going to be words that will help students across all context areas. So they might see the word show up in the science textbook or in a reading book about a fantasy story across content areas. These words are the biggest bang for your buck words for us to teach our students. So we have talked about implicit and explicit vocabulary instruction. Now, let's talk about how often we should use one method over the other. The answer is tricky. Vocabulary instruction is never going to be 50-50, implicit, explicit, but we want to be sure that we are including both. Simply put, we shouldn't rely on implicit instruction, so we need to plan for explicit. I highly encourage you to be a word watcher yourself. Next time you're previewing a mentor text, think about what words would most benefit your students. Choose 1 to 2 words to teach implicitly and choose 1 to 2 words to teach explicitly. Ultimately, vocabulary instruction can be unintentional, like implicit vocabulary instruction, or intentional through explicit methods. But here is the bottom line. The more word a reader stores in their personal lexicons, that's their dictionaries inside their brain, the better they'll comprehend what they read and what they hear. Sounds doable, right? Okay, so we'd love to know in the comments, what mentor texts are you using this week? What words are you going to be teaching your students? We'd love to be your biggest cheerleader as you take on vocabulary instruction this week. If you found this video helpful, give it a thumbs up for us, subscribe to our channel, and be on the lookout for more teaching tips. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you real soon.